What's up, guys? Welcome back for another video. Today's video is going to be about my first solo flight in flight school during my flight training. So this video, I'll just go ahead and talk about kind of my whole entire experience, everything that led me up to my first solo flight, how my first solo flight is, and then basically where we're going to go from now to the end of my private, basically. All right, so moving right into the video. So what led me into basically getting into my first solo was about 25 hours of flight time. So I had about 20 hours of takeoff and landings, and then about another 6 or 7 hours in regards to like performing maneuvers, the fundamentals, you know, climbs, descents, turns, climbing turns, basically everything else that's not a takeoff and landing. Now, to go ahead and actually get your endorsement from your instructor to go and perform your first solo, you actually have to have everything outlined. And from the FAR AIM, it's going to be chapter 61, part 87. So I'll go ahead and show you guys a little clip right here about it. So in part 6187 of the FAR, we're actually going to go ahead and go over it. So basically it boils down to having all of the proficiency in several different key factor areas. Now, these areas are going to include having shown proficiency in your level flight, so keeping the airplane level, you know, not being able to exceed any like crazy tolerances, keeping your attitude, keeping your altitude, keeping the same airspeed, just making sure you're going nice and smooth, basically. Steady climbs, steady descents, and then turns. Now, there's also a point in the FAR that you have to prove that you can actually do climbing turns, and then you actually do that with your instructor as well. So let's say you have a north heading, and you're at 2,000 feet. He'll go ahead and say climb to 2,500 feet and go to let's say 270 degrees west. So then you'll do that at the same time, and then you'll just prove that you can basically multitask and do both. Another thing that you're gonna have to perform is different maneuvers. So these are gonna be all your clearing turns before any maneuver. A good way that I actually learned from ATP to kind of set up for your maneuver is crack. So yes, you do crack right before every maneuver. Crack stands for clearing turns, reference point, altitude, airspeed, and then making sure you're in the proper configuration. So once you have all that set, then you'll go ahead and start doing things such as your slow flight, power off stalls, power on stalls, steep turns, S turns, and turns around a point. Now, once you can kind of dial all those in, and then you feel comfortable, your instructor also makes sure that you also feel comfortable and he feels comfortable with letting you out, then you know you can really perform everything in a professional manner, and then at the same time, you know, show that you can master the airplane. You want to be in control of the airplane. At no point do you want the airplane to control you. So once you have all that set for maneuvers, then you actually have to go ahead and learn all your emergency procedures. Now, this is going to vary different to every aircraft, but they pretty much all boil down to the same thing. Whether, you know, you have an engine fire, if you have a engine failure, and basically what are you going to do in the next situation? Where are you going to land? How are you going to react? So you actually practice those, you know, during all your maneuvers and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Also, you're going to be able to perform different communications. So these communications are going to always be in terms of, you know, can you communicate effectively with a tower if you're at a towered airport? If you're at an untowered airport, can you still make all the proper calls and, you know, have collision avoidance and basically show that, you know, you're not just going out there and looking like a rookie? And you can look like a rookie. It's not like that necessarily. It's more of just you need to be able to have the fundamentals down. Then also When it comes down to your takeoff and landings, you know, if you're ever coming in for a landing and one of the few situations where you're not aligned, or, you know, you perform your GCache and you decide, okay, you know, my configuration's not set, my glide path isn't good, like basically you feel unsafe or have an unusual approach, you want to go do a go around. So a good way to remember how to do a go around is the 4 C's. Now the 4 C's are going to be cram the throttle, climb, establish a positive rate of climb, clean up your flaps, you know, one step at a time. You want to do either 10 degrees at a time. You don't want to just take them all out. And then make your call, whether it's on the, you know, to the tower or just on your CTAF that you're doing a go around. Then you also want to make sure you're good with your takeoff and landings, either in normal calm wind or with a crosswind. And that's basically kind of everything that you gotta be able to show that you have mastered prior to going for your first solo. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the clips of my first solo landings and takeoffs. Let me know how I did in the comments. If you want to roast me. I think I did pretty good personally, but I'm always good and, you know, open to criticism. So all right, so that was all the videos of my first takeoff and landings going solo. Now moving into the part of the video of basically where we go from now. So my next few flight lessons are basically going to consist of a few more solos, staying around the airport, basically, you know, making sure my landings and takeoffs are still good. Then I'll go ahead and start doing solos and practicing maneuvers, and that way I can get those down, and then now, you know, I can really feel safe and prove that I don't need the instructor there with me. The next steps are going to be performing my maneuvers and takeoff and landings all by myself. After that, then we'll go ahead and do cross-country work. So I'll have the instructor get back in the plane with me. We'll start doing cross-country work, which is basically a flight that's 50 nautical miles from your home airport that you're departing from in distance. Once we get a few of those in, then we actually start to work on my solo cross country. So I go back solo, we do more cross countries. And then after that, then we start working on the basically check ride prep. So he's gonna get me ready, you know, make sure I can do all my maneuvers, I can prove myself. And, you know, I have not only the aeronautical knowledge, but the aeronautical skill to go ahead and, you know, pick my test date, get my examiner, and go take my check ride, and then I'll have my private pilot license. So super excited for this next step. Definitely have a lot more ahead of me. They say that it takes anywhere between 40 to 50, 60 hours for your private. So right now, at the time of this video, I'm at 25. So I'm a little bit past halfway. So definitely excited. We're gonna get there, and I can't wait. And I can't wait to go ahead and keep on making the videos and, you know, showing you guys the progress. So thanks for watching. That's gonna be it for today's video. If you liked everything, you know, just like, comment, subscribe, please. Really helps the channel, and it also keeps us engaged. You know, I really like having conversations with you guys. I'm actually figuring out a lot of you guys are actually local to Tampa, and you know, maybe one day we'll be able to fly together, You know, we might catch each other at the same building or something like that. So that'd be super cool. So like I said, that's gonna be it for today's video, and deuces.